Hello, it's Helen from Witchcrafts. Today we are going to be making something in the lovely junk journal that I made and promised that I would actually do some work in, so I am fulfilling that promise today. This is going to be a quick video, I hope, showing just how I'm going to put some kind of decoration into one of the pages of my junk journal. This is inspired by Barbara of 49 Dragonflies. She does a series called Junk Journal Snacks, where she does little bite-size ideas for people to try and replicate in their own journals. So I'm going to do something similar. I'll put an image on the screen of what she came up with, and then also link to her video that she made. But very basically, what I'm going to do is work on this page here, which is just a plain piece of tea or coffee dyed paper, and it's very boring, so it needs something to jazz it up a little bit. So taking Barbara's idea as my inspiration, that's what we're going to do today. So as you saw, her idea, she took a picture of a tree on a walk that she went on with a friend of hers and decided to sort of honour that in her junk journal. So as you might have gathered, the name of my business is Witchcrafts with a Y, and that comes from the wych elm tree. So this is the wych elm tree. This isn't my photo, this is just a photo that I found, and I have used a similar image in the logo for my company that I made a few years ago. So it's wych elm because it's a really beautiful tree. So I thought I would take this, and then Barbara uses some packaging paper that she has coloured with different colours, and I've dug out from my scrap pile a few different pieces. So basically we're going to be making a collage and using the picture of the wych elm tree as the focal point. So I've done a few different versions here, different colours, different transparencies, making it black and white, using a funky effect, which I really like actually, but I'm not going to be using that one today. The one that I'm going to use is actually this one, which is the original picture of the tree. And then what we need to do is decide what we want to put behind it. So it's quite a small image. I could have made it bigger, but then it may have been a bit pixelated, so I didn't want to risk that happening. So I've got a variety of different pieces here, so we can just sort of try putting some of these behind and see how we get on. The other thing that Barbara did was she took a stencil of a sort of a starburst, and this is one that I've made myself. I just drew it onto a piece of acetate and then cut it out, and I quite like that idea, so I think maybe we'll do that first. Okay, so what I'm going to use for the sort of the sunburst in the background is this metallic acrylic paint, which is from Deco Art, and this is in the colour bronze. So I've had this for a few years, so I'm hoping it hasn't completely dried up. So just give it a bit of a shake. Right, I've had to switch to filming on my phone because my battery's run out on my camera again. So we were just about to splodge some paint into the palette. Oh good, it hasn't dried up, that's good. And then I'm going to take a fairly large paintbrush and then just try to get these stripes down. It's quite important when using a stencil not to have too much paint on your brush, otherwise it might splodge underneath the stencil and you end up with a big mess. Okay, that's not too bad actually. Quite like that. That looks all right. Just wondering if I do some more down here. I think I will. That looks quite nice. Pleased with that. Right, just pop that to one side for a minute while it's drying. Now I've got this really nice piece of paper where I was testing out some water-soluble crayons that I've got, which I've had for a long time and never really got around to doing anything with. So this was just, I put some white gesso down first of all, and then just played around with the colours, then spritzed some water over it and sort of smudged them around a bit, and I've ended up with this really nice rainbow sort of colour. I've actually scanned this in and I'm going to put it in my Etsy shop as a digital download because I absolutely love it and I wanted to save it, but I want to use it. So it happens to have this perforation down the middle, so I'm just going to cut it in half. Now I think I'm going to use this half because I'm not sure how well this is going to show on the camera, but it is sparkly. It does have some sparkle to it. I sprayed it with some very, very watered down acrylic paint. So I'm going to just work out how much of this we need. Quite liking this side over here. So I'm just going to rip this about there. And then we'll just get rid of a little bit of the surrounding area that's just plain brown and boring. There we go. So we've got this. Let's see what that looks like now on the journal page. Okay, now that's obviously covering up most of the sunburst that we did before, so I'm going to make this a bit smaller. That's better. So that's just now just peeking out from underneath. I'm going to just take a little bit off the side of the picture as well, just to make that a bit more portrait. There we go. This is still too big. Just trying to preserve this part at the top here because I really like how the gesso kind of sprays out. Okay, so we need some more things with it and I want to add a bit of texture and a bit of different shape. So I've got some things here. This is just a piece of scrapbook page where I've just done a zigzag stitch down it with my sewing machine and some brown thread. And then this is where I've cleaned off my ink stamps onto a piece of paper just to get the ink off them after I've finished stamping. And then this is a rubber stamp that's quite a long thin one, so this is just a part of it, but it looks a bit like a ruler. So I think I quite like that. Let's see what we can do with that there, maybe. And then perhaps we want a bit of this. Let's see about doing that maybe. And then this one. There's a little bird there, which is quite nice. I'm sorry if I'm going out of frame. It's really hard to see now I'm using my phone as to whether or not I'm staying in shot or not. Put him down there. Just feel like it needs something else. What else have we got? Got this, which is just like the edge. I think this is from where I was doing some jelly printing on a jelly plate, and I just rubbed my brayer off. Okay, quite like that. I'm still sort of wishing could see more of this paper in the background. It's my only issue. I'm going to make this picture smaller because my logo, you can't see the whole tree. So perhaps that's okay to have that on here as well. But again, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, just what you want to do. There we are. So we've just got a bit of a suggestion of it, and now we can see more of what's behind. Put this a little bit back on. There. Okay, I quite like that. Now what we're going to do next is stick this down, and a technique that I've learned is to do top-down sticking. So it's where you take your glue, and instead of taking everything off and starting from the bottom and working upwards, you just glued the things down in order. So if that doesn't make sense, it will in a minute. I'm going to be using this glue, which I've seen loads of stuff about on the internet and on YouTube. Loads of people using this. Again, like the Mod Podge, I haven't really found anything spectacular about it. It's called Art. It's made by Art Glitter, and it's a clear water-based adhesive. It does seem to dry quite quickly, which is really good. But the thing I really like about it, it's quite expensive, is that it comes with this metal tip, this application tip, which gives you a really, really tiny amount of glue. So it's absolutely perfect because, as I say, it is quite expensive, but it comes out in this lovely thin bead. So you don't use very much at all. So when this is empty, I shall just refill it with something a bit cheaper. So we'll stick that one down there. So I'm just going to go through and stick all of these pieces down, working from the top. And then eventually everything is all stuck together quite nicely, and now we just need to stick this down onto the page. I want to add something else here. I want to just add like a little title or a label or something. So I've got these alphabet stamps, and they remind me a lot of sort of ancient book making, where printers would have these individual stamps. So I'm going to spell out the word, or the words, wych elm, and then stamp that onto a piece of white paper, and then just put this at the bottom here. While I was doing some research looking for pictures of wych elms, I came across a ancient murder mystery, well, ancient, from the 1940s, in April 1943, 4 boys went bird nesting in Hagley Woods, which is just outside Stourbridge in Worcestershire, between Birmingham and Kidderminster. And they've made a shocking discovery, which was that they found a skull hidden inside a wych elm tree. And they obviously went to the police and they investigated. And when they cut it open, they found the entire skeleton in there. And then this sparked the murder investigation, to try and discover the identity of this woman whose body had been found inside the wych elm tree. She was locally named Bella, and there was all sorts of rumours about whether or not she had been a witch and whether she had been executed and her body had been put inside the tree to stop the ghost from haunting those who had put her to death. And to this day, it remains a complete mystery because the skeletal remains were actually stolen, so they can't even use DNA to discover who it really was. So there we go. So that's my little wych elm collage. You see I inked around the edge here with my Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo, which with hindsight I probably should have done for some of the other pieces as well, but I think they're all different enough shades that they manage to stand out by themselves quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a little journaling card to put on this side that will be able to be flipped. So I need it to be double-sided. So that's what we're going to do next. So what I've got now is I've got the pictures left over from before, and a piece of tea or coffee dyed card. This is just ordinary white card that I have soaked in coffee, and then I'm going to stick these all down onto the piece of card just to make it a bit stiffer, and I'm making almost like a sort of a collage of these images. Now I want this to be able to hinge in the journal, so I'm just going to leave a little edge at the side there. Go. So we've got a nice little simple collage there, and then I'm going to just pair this to size. Okay, so there's our journaling card, and then I want this to go in here, and obviously because the signatures are already sewn in I can't add it in, so what I'm going to do is just fold it back here and then just make that a sharp crease using my bone folder. Whoops, a bit wonky. Like that. And then glue that in there like that so that it flips over. So I'm going to write about the story of the horror story that I told you earlier. I'm going to write that in there, but I'm also going to just ink around the edges of here. If you haven't seen this before, this is it's an old cotton reel that I have glued. You can get these foam pads. You can get official ones from Ranger, or you can get ones that you use to protect wooden floors on furniture, and you just glue that to the end and it works brilliantly. The only thing I would say is next time I'd probably use Velcro, because these do eventually wear out. They're only thin foam and they do sort of fragment and go all bitty, so I would probably Velcro it in place next time so that I can replace it more easily, but it's good for now. So let's just put a little bit of definition. There we go. And so we could have this hinging this way, or we could have it hinging that way. I think I quite like it hinging that way so that the actual hinge is hidden. So that's the way that I'm going to glue it in. But the first thing I'm going to do is go away and write the story on the back of here. And then I think, because I've got a ton of washi tape that I never use, I'm going to, it's really pretty. It's probably doesn't really match with the story that much, but maybe it's a antidote to the story, having pretty washi tape. Here we go. Okay, I obviously didn't press the record button hard enough because it didn't record me actually gluing this in. So all I did was just the very little flap that was here. I just took the glue, put a tiny bit along, and then pushed this down into the edge. So that's my first go at making something in my new junk journal. I'm going to try and do one of these every week. So if you'd like to see the next one, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.